Joe here. I hope you're well. The goal of this channel is to share some of my experiences along this journey. If you don't know my story, like I said, my name is Joe, Ghanaian born, but my mother took me to the UK at the age of 10. Been living, working there from that age. I'm in my early 40s now. So right now I'm in Ghana to settle and also to build businesses. So, I mean, when my mother took me to the UK at the age of 10, when, the first time I came back after that, I was 17. And when I came back, straight away, I knew that eventually I would settle back home here in Ghana. So, I'm in the middle of building businesses, different business. I'm into different type of businesses. I have a gym, and also working on a plastic recycling factory and a few others in property. But I just want to share some of the life lessons. And prior to that, obviously, I worked for companies in the UK such as Google, LinkedIn, Essence, and within digital marketing. And I've also started what allowed me you can say, the luxury to move or to build businesses. What gave me the capital was, eventually getting the confidence to start my own business in the UK, where I ran a recruitment company. Started from the ground up, didn't know anything about recruitment, read some books on it and about entrepreneurship, and just started it. Grew that company to a point where I started in 2014, and then I came to Ghana 2016 to hire people here in Ghana to work remotely for me to build the company. So I was, I just worked out that it would be much more cost effective to hire people in Ghana. At the same time, giving people here in Ghana the opportunity to have employment. And it's been rewarding because some of those people that I've hired have gone on to work for other companies. And it's great to know that I've had some positive impact into their lives. And so I think the goal of this video is really to talk about perseverance and developing momentum. And if I obviously you can get a lot of videos on the subject of perseverance, developing momentum. You can go to chat GPT and just get a ton of information. Go to Google, go on YouTube. There's a ton of information from your favorite speakers and well-known, renowned speakers and all that. But I'm gonna speak it from how I develop in the develop momentum, and if I want to develop momentum, what I do, and I think for you to develop momentum in the past, for example, when I was starting Digital Ways, which is my recruitment company and outsourcing company, I developed momentum by really organizing my day, because I learned that I needed to have a routine for success. I needed to have a routine for success because my current routine at that time was not giving me success. It was just a very average routine. You get up maybe 7, 6 or whatever, you get ready for work and then you go, right? But I realized that it dawned on me when I had, especially when I had children, the tipping point for me, I had I've got 4 girls right now, but when I had my second daughter, Nyamiye, and at the time I was working, my wife also started, you know, also working, looking for, yeah, she was also working. And then we had to leave my daughter with a nanny that we employed to come and help us. Well, it's sort of like she comes in and help us from morning. She'll be in the house with our child, and then we'll come back and take over when I finish work. And one time when I finished work and I came home, she was feeding my daughter, and it was rice and stew, and then she told me she took some rice from the and stew from the fridge, and then she mic'd it, put it in the microwave, and then something told me that I wonder if she knows how to mic things properly. So something told me I should just like touch the inside of the, I just I washed my hands and I poked my finger through the rice, and the middle was cold, especially the stew was cold, and that kind of, really, got me sad that I had to leave my child with a stranger, not knowing if this person has the best interest of my child, because clearly, she didn't know, or she didn't have the best interest of my child, because she didn't even check to see if the food she warmed up, and this was someone elderly. It's not like a young a young adult. It's like she's in her 40s. Yeah, at the time she was older than me, probably pushing 50. So it just really got me thinking that this is not the life that I want, to leave my child with someone and having to hope and pray that this person is going to be looking after my child as they should. So I told my wife that, you know what, I need to do something. I need to go all in with starting a business. So back in 2013, as prior to that, I just started doing a lot of self-development, working on myself, doing things, because I learned that leaders are readers. So I started reading more. I started listening to, positive messages like Les Brown, Jim Rohn, a lot of, education on how to build success and develop momentum. And one of the key things I learned, that I needed to make sure I have a good, solid daily routine, that no matter what, I do them. For example, I would, discipline myself by exercising. So I make sure that I wake up. One of the things that I set up for myself is that I wake up at 4 a.m. and I will exercise, because I wanted to read very early in the morning and develop the habit of reading. And I'm a slow reader, and also when I read, I'll fall asleep, so, especially in the morning, right? So I needed to be more active and more awake to be able to read. So I'll wake up at 4, go for a run, do push-ups, come back, have my shower, and then I'll meditate, and then start reading, right? Get to the office, obviously eat something, and get to the office. And then while on the train, I'll be reading, or in the house reading and meditating. So I did this for quite like a good, almost a year. And while I was doing that, I read a book. I stumbled a book by James Caan, who was, should I say, recruitment, ex-recruitment consultant, entrepreneur who made millions in the industry. And that book opened my eyes to a different form of work that I could do and relate it to my industry. So I think for you to develop momentum, you need to have like a solid, rigid daily routine that it builds you up, so you can develop discipline. Because I think the key thing is having discipline and doing something that you don't want to do, but you force yourself to do it anyway, whether you feel like it or not. Because by doing that, I started to build my self-respect and my self-esteem went up. I started trusting myself more, because I'm doing something that I don't want to do, but I'm doing it anyway, and I'll take it off. And those little things started adding up every single day. And then before I knew it, I'm reading. And remember, I told you that I used to, when I would start to read, I just get like sleepy. So I will stand up I will, even to this day, I do that. If I'm reading, I'm feeling a bit sleepy, sitting down, I will stand up and continue reading. Because if you're standing, how do you fall asleep, right? So I did this for a very long time until, that thing went away. But obviously, I still do it because sometimes when you've maybe you just had your lunch, but you want to read, and if you sit down and you read, they will get to a point where you feel sleepy, right? You feel a bit. So sometimes I will stand up and then read. In the morning, sometimes in the morning I do that if I feel like, hey, I'm reading, but I'm getting a bit kind of too relaxed here, and I'll stand up and I'll continue reading. And I remember when I was watching Pursuit of Happiness by Will Smith, James Gardner. There was a scene where he was reading and standing up, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I remember I used to do that. I still do that anyway. He was like revising for a test, but then he was standing up and reading. I wonder if he was doing that because he felt sleepy. So just developing discipline, and I think you can do that by controlling the time that you wake up, reading, listening and watching positive stuff, obviously exercising. So mine was waking up at 4 a.m., sometimes 3:30, going for a run, have a brief meditation, shower, and then read. And then when I get to the office, either continue reading and then listen to. So I had something called, like, I had to do at least 30 minutes reading to an hour, and then listening to and watching positive stuff for 30 minutes each. So I did that, which really, really built me up, and it really built my confidence to start making videos, because I identified an opportunity within. It's kind of funny. I read something, or I heard something that says, most of the time, we are looking for wealth, and we think something out there that we need to, something secret. There's a secret out there that's gonna, help us to make the money that we want. But most of the time, we already have that thing, the bridge, that thing that we have to offer to the world, that service, that knowledge, whatever, that skill, that experience that we have to offer to the world to be able to make money. We already possess that, or we already have some of that already in us, but we downplay and feel like we need to come up with something more, like a grand scheme, something huge that will captivate the end user. So, and I was listening to something, one preacher, and he says, oh, he was talking about most of the time we miss the opportunity, because not we miss the opportunity, but we don't value what we have. Because when he used this Bible story, when Moses in the wilderness was being chased by the Pharaoh's soldiers, he cried out to God, and then God said, hey Moses, what is that in your hand? Meaning, why are you troubling me, Moses? I've already given you the stick, the rod, use it. And then Moses stretched out the rod, and then over the sea, and the sea parted, right? So the secret source was already with Moses. So I started asking myself, what do I already have that I can leverage, that I can start helping people, and in the process of helping people, I will learn something and build something out of it. So I started looking at my experience within digital advertising, and then I thought to myself, and then I also spotted, I remember, graduates, when I was a manager at Essence, a lot of graduates used to come and interview, and most of them would fail. But then it always used to trouble me and worry me, and I felt genuinely bad and sorry for those graduates who didn't make the interviews, because it struck a chord in me. Because when I graduated, when I was trying to get a job, I went to so many interviews and failed so many interviews miserably and badly, and so it kind of reminded me of that pain. And I thought to myself, well, if they knew some of the things I know, some of the insights about digital marketing, online advertising, because at the time there wasn't a lot of information about it. It's not like something you can go to universities and study. So I thought, oh, I could teach them what is, online marketing, digital advertising, what is CPA, what is ad serving, programmatic advertising, SSP, DSP, all these things, right? So I got this group, I called those graduates that failed, and I told them how I could help them. And I ran a training program for them. And then after the training program, they went to interviews and succeeded. And then, so I kept doing this while I was working. And then a recruitment agency called me and said, "Hey, Joe, we've been placing some of the graduates you've been training. We want to meet with you and see if we can partner at some level." So I thought, okay. So met with them and they said, they explained it. I said, oh, they want me to basically train more graduates, and then they will send those graduates to other companies to interview. So I thought to myself, wait a minute, if I learn how to get clients, then after I've trained those graduates, I could send them there myself and get the full commission. So I started doing that, and then had some success, and that gave me the confidence to eventually say, to eventually quit my job and go full time. And then my clients that I was working with started trusted me to also help them to hire senior people, which means I could make a lot more money. So that's what I did, and that's what allowed me to be in a situation I am. Not that like I'm, super rich or anything, but the just having the luxury to even to be making this video, to be living in this house where it is bought and paid for, and not having to, struggle. Obviously, as a man, you always need a bit of struggle in your life, but make sure the necessities of life is taken care of and all that. So, having the resource to build businesses, you know, I needed to get the money from where. So I think for you to develop perseverance, I know I digress a little bit, but we're talking about momentum and perseverance. You need a routine. You need to build discipline with yourself. You need to trust yourself. And you can only really trust yourself and build discipline with yourself, if you've been doing something consistently every single day. And then before you know it, your unconscious mind will pick it up and say, hey, I'm actually consistent with the plans I said I was going to follow. And then your subconscious mind will start to pick that up and start to, feed you more of that information. So you get to a point where that you feel like, oh, okay, you can become unstoppable because you have built trust with yourself. You have your self-image has improved dramatically. So I would say control the time that you go to bed, come up with some success habits, reading, exercising, and also controlling the time that you go to bed. And this is something that I need to get better at, because I used to be very good at that, but sometimes you come, depending how the day goes. So yeah, I hope this information helps you, or you found this information useful. Please like, comment, subscribe, and no matter what journey that you're on, what you're trying to do, I wish you all the success. So follow along with me, and let's see what we can do together. Take care.